Before me, an interview to Giorgio Armani di Maurizio Molinari e Emanuele Farnetti, foto di Nikolai von Bismarck. Giorgio Armani, on the eve of his 90th birthday, the designer opens about how he became the symbol of Made in Italy, his early memories as a child, the value of memory in fashion, his identity as an innovator, and the dreams that accompany him. At my age, dreaming is right, indeed rightful. My first memory. It's of the time I stole some bread rolls made with olive oil at the house of one of my school friends. They were so good, I couldn't afford things like that, and nor could my parents. So my first memory is opening the little flap door. Do you know the kind I mean? Made of that green glass that was lightly molded. I opened it and stole them, and that's my first memory. Giorgio Armani smiles as he thinks back to the little boy he was then. When did you first discover fashion? Well, it was really fashion that discovered me. I was in Milan and I needed to find a job. I was to my job at the Renascente department store as a window dressed that I first became interested in another discipline. Let's call it that, and I immediately felt challenged in the sense that I didn't like what I was seeing. So I said to myself, I want to make things that I like, things that are right for the people wearing them. Perhaps that was a bit conceited of me, but that's what I thought. I like subtlety, discretion, elegance that comes from intelligence. It might seem a rather moralistic attitude, but I am sure that simplicity is always a winning quality. And there is something that I really like, the love that young people have for fashion. It shouldn't surprise you, you're very famous. It's a sensation that's difficult to explain. It's a mixture of pride and responsibility because I am aware that my example may be useful to others, and so I experience it at all with gratitude and with wonder each time. I wonder that makes me feel a bit like a child again, even at 90 years old. How much does the past matter to you? A great deal. The past matters a great deal. Takes the 1940s years last century. Why that particular period in history? Is that where the Armani style comes from? I would say that Armani elegance, if you want to call it that, comes from a way of dressing that is simple and full of dignity that my mother passed down to me, and also from the fascination that the cinema exerted on me, the films that I saw as a boy, that idea of softness and elegance without a lot of frippery. People had very little at that time, in fact, but I think that there was great elegance in that scarcity. There is a vision of the past that young people are interested in too. I always say that young people want Armani. How about the relationship between your work and your private life? I don't have a private life, my friends. Do you? I can also myself to live my working life and let it mingle with my private life. It does this enrich your work? It gives me more opportunities in the sense that I devote my hours to my work, to research, to what I reject, to saying not to not no not this, no not this, yes this. Well now you're asking as 90-year-old, what do you expect me to say? I don't think about time. For me that is the thought about the past. Do you often feel nostalgia? The older you get, the more complex your relationship with the past becomes. I try as far as possible to look at the past as a repository of memories, and good feelings. But sometimes I feel regret for things I haven't done that I could have done. I'm talking mainly about my private life because, as regard work, I've genuinely succeeded in realizing my vision in full. As for the past, I think mainly of moments that were very crucial in shaping me, but I try as far as possible not to harbor nostalgia because nostalgia is feeling that paralyzes you and makes you feel melancholic and still prefer to look forward. There are women who succeeded in being fashionable without losing sight of being women who wants to be elegant wherever they are. I really like women who know how to manage themselves without betraying themselves. What will Armani clothes be like in 20 years' time? That's quite difficult to say because the world is changing so profoundly. Women have changed a great deal, so I think women have an essential part to play in that change. I see a development that isn't a restoration of the past, but is the past seen through the moment in history that we are living in. I won't be here to see it, unfortunately. I hope that they will manage to keep this characteristic of faithfulness to themselves. How do you see the future of your company? It has been said recently that your company may eventually be sold. What is your opinion about that? I know that I have put the future of the company in the hands of people that I trust. So I imagine that my style can continue to be expressed equally clearly by whoever comes after me. My great dreams is that Armani style will remain an expression of Italian style for a long time to come and that even 50 or 100 years later it will be identified as something special, authentic and original. Perhaps that is only a dream, but at my age, I think that we should be able to dream. In fact, it's our duty. So I hope for a successful future. And so on. We live in a situation where we are continually being assaulted by a whole series of novelties that are turning our everyday life upside down in science, in politics. Whereas the fact is the fashion offers a basic of stability. What is the recipe for surviving these brutal changes? Sometimes it's best to pretend not to notice. Are you surprised by what you see in the fashion magazines? Let's say that they contrast with my way of thinking. There are alternative solutions now. They are more modern, perhaps, than what I have done in my time in past years. And so on. And according to the Second World War, we were walking along a three-line road with my sister in the countryside where we had been evacuated during the war. At the end of this road, there was a small railway station. At a certain point, we heard a rumbling sound coming from behind the station and we saw an aeroplane and I realized that we had to do something. I took my sister and threw her down into the ditch beside the road, just as the aeroplane reached us, firing its guns. It was terrifying. I remembering those moments, there is also actually the appreciation of life, the life that came afterwards, and that is the opposite of war. Yes, that's true, but you have to think that we lived a suburban middle class in Milan, with a few opportunities. So I was happy with very little the years after the Second World War. What do you remember? My meeting, what encounter have you had that changed your life? My meeting with Sergio Galotti, he was the first to see in me the qualities that could develop and become an independent brand, a label that would become Giorgio Armani. Your dream at night, what do you dream of? Until 10 years ago, I dreamed of some strange things. a bit of sex every so often. Now at nearly 90, I dream of moments from the past, and of course, it's a past that has been revised and corrected, filtered by a psychological updating and by the experience of the day. How important is your relationship with Italy for you? Well, I have to say that I quite like the old boot. What future do you see for our country, for Italy? First of all, I hope to see the politicians looking well dressed and that they avoid trying to look sporty at all costs. When you go to a meeting, you should wear a jacket and tie. End of story. And then, above all, I find it really wearing when you switch on the television and you see all these squabbles between them. When I hear people say, but you are young, what do you mean young? When you are 90, you 90, they'll soon be giving me a stick. Yes, but it's true that society has changed. People are living a lot longer, and there are a whole host of services. Yes, that's true. Otherwise, we would have been gone 10 or 15 years ago, and so on. I am glad of it. For myself and for the ones I leave behind above all. Thank you very much.